Troy from Ace Appliance in Toledo, Ohio. Welcome back to another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Today we're looking at a Maytag electric dryer, and the customer's complaint or issue is that it has a loud noise coming from it. What we have is we have a rattle coming from inside, and when you have a rattle inside, it can be a couple different things. One, it can be the blower wheels came loose or broke. Could be a belt taken off or came off of the idler pulley. It could also be the rollers that the drum does roll on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig into the unit and see what I can see as a problem. The first thing you're going to do is unplug the unit, which I already have. Next, on this specific type of Maytag, down at the very bottom, there are two separate screws that hold the bottom plate on. Once you remove those bottom screws, the front panel swings out and then will come off. Tools that I used for this repair was one, my cordless drill, my 5/16 nut driver, a pair of pliers, and I have my my attachment kit here, but I use my 5/16 and my 1/4 inch drill attachment along with my Phillips head screwdriver. I used a flex bit as well as my 1/4 inch nut driver and my ring clasp remover. Okay, so down at the bottom are where the screws go. I've already removed both the screws. They're most likely going to be Phillips head screws. Once I remove them, the front panel swings out from the bottom and will come off of its hanging tabs up at the very top. So as I swing the panel out, it falls right off. Once it comes off, there are two wires that come into the back of the unit that go to the door switch. You gently remove those wires. Once those wires are removed, you can remove and set the front panel aside. So with the front panel removed, you'll see the wires are held in place by a clip up top, and that is what they're held on by. I'm going to remove the wires out of the clip, and the wires will fall to the side. This whole front panel and the blower housing come off all as one. They're connected by 4 bolts or screws, whatever they may be, that hold your unit together. I'm going to remove these, and once I remove them, the unit actually sets on, has a couple tabs on each side that it sets on and in and holds it in place in the unit. So I'm going to proceed to remove these. With those screws removed, the front of the unit, I should be able to pull it out and it should dislodge and take right off and set it aside. Removed, and I can set it aside. And once I have it set aside, what I'm going to look at first in here is I'm going to take a look down in here where the blower wheel is at. The blower wheel is what moves the air out of the unit so your clothes will dry. And this blower wheel is very loose in here. It should not be loose, and since it is loose, it's telling me that the blower wheel has been broken and is not functioning anymore. What I'm going to start off by doing is just inspecting it to see and make sure it is the blower wheel and not the actual motor shaft coming out of the motor. And it feels as though it is broken inside there. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to prop the drum up with something and hold it out of the way. And then on the unit here, this housing right here and this shield has to come off. There's 2 bolts holding this shield on. Then there's probably 6 to 8 screws along the front of this metal housing that I'll also have to remove. And I'm going to start off by removing the shroud here, which has two bolts on it. Once the shroud is off, I can set it aside. Then I'm going to proceed to remove this whole housing. You can choose to either remove the wires before removing the housing, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the housing, and then I'm going to try to set it just aside so I don't have to deal with taking the wires off. If you have to take the wires off, I would recommend either A, writing down where they go, or B, taking a picture of where they're located at so you know where to put them back. And I see down here in the bottom a couple of the pieces that go to that blower wheel have broken away. For this repair, it may come in handy if you have a flexi extender for your drill to be able to get into certain spots. Once you have all the bolts holding the housing cover off, you can remove them and set the cover to the side. Now what we're looking at here is the blower housing and the blower wheel. Now you can see even easier that it is very loose on here. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and remove the blower wheel and fix it from there. Okay, so now with the blower wheel, to remove it from position, you are going to need a tool that has the two pointed ends on it so you can expand the ring clasp, because the ring clasp has two little pilot holes. You have to put these in, open them up, it'll come off, and then the blower wheel should slide off for you. And save these parts because when you buy the new blower wheel, it most likely will not have the incidental parts with it. Once that ring clasp is off, the blower wheel will come back out. And the blower wheel, it doesn't appear to be damaged, but it is on the shaft coming from the motor. It does have one flat spot, kind of a keyed spot on the shaft coming out. And your old blower wheel, if it's like mine, will be completely round. Or what you'll find is this metal clasp right here is broken off and the actual whole plastic housing is broken. This one does have a crack in it even, so it does need replaced. Your new blower wheel will have a flat edge on it. The flat edge, which is the keyed edge, does go onto the keyed part of the shaft. But before we do that, what we're going to do is remove any type of debris that's built up, which we have a little bit, not horribly bad. Get that removed out of the way. Once that is removed, the little plastic clip does not come on the shaft, so you're going to have to get that attached on there. And what you're going to do is we attach the blower wheel on first. Once the blower wheel is on, you're going to need a pair of pliers to depress this and then slide it over the top. We'll take two hands because if you try to squeeze it, I recommend two hands. You may be able to go away with doing it with one, but it may pop off, and if it does jump off and hit you, it could hurt. You're just using your other hand to hold it in place so that it does not slide away. Slides on there. Once it's in place, that's what you need there. Mine actually has a small washer that was with it. And this washer, it must have been inside the unit, must have been from something else previously, repair done previously from somewhere. So that is not going to be used for here. What I'm going to do is reattach the ring clip, put it back on, going to put it back on my tool, and I'm going to slide it back over, and it does have a couple grooves it sets in. Once you're in your grooves, and now when the blower wheel moves, so does the drum of the unit. And now I'm going to reverse order, put back together. I'm going to start off by just making sure the drum is back up out of the way like it should be. Spin my cover back over, set my cover in place. And the cover does have a lip on the metal side that does go in between the two plastic pieces of the actual blower housing. Once it's secured in place, you can now take your drill and re-secure it back in place. Once that is reattached in place, we're now going to reattach our cover. And again, the cover is just going to mount back on the same way you're taking it off. Once we have the cover back in place, we're now going to reattach the front part of the housing that holds the drum up and for it to roll on. So now before you do put it all back together, you may want to take a look down into your blower housing, your lint screen, see what debris you may have in there and try to remove as much as you can. Essentially when you're reattaching this back on, you do have on the bottom, you have a couple glides that the outside part of the drum rides on. So I'm going to take and I'm going to start applying it at a low side to it. I'm going to lift my drum up, get it underneath the drum, find my tabs and set it back in place. So I have it set back in place. I'm going to then reattach my four, I believe they're 5/16 bolts back to it to secure it in place. Once those are reattached, rerun your wires back up the side, hang them back in their clips. Now they're back in their clips, now you can reattach the front of the unit. Alright, once you get the front panel reattached, you're going to then make sure you plug your unit back in. Once your unit's plugged back in, make sure you do have your lint screen back into place. Lint screen's back in place, shut the unit, and start. And now we've repaired the dryer, repaired the blower wheel. The unit is now operating properly. Thank you for watching another quality video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.